the past month, the global media has focused on reports that the Ukrainian government is pushing for permission from the US and NATO, primarily from the US, the UK, and France, to use long-range missiles such as the Storm Shadow and Scalp, provided by Britain and France, to strike deep into Russian territory. President Volodymyr Zelensky has even requested US Tomahawk cruise missiles with a range of 2,500 km to bolster Ukraine's offensive capabilities. Russian President Vladimir Putin has underscored the seriousness of these potential strikes, warning that allowing such deep incursions into Russian territory could escalate to World War III. US President Joe Biden and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak have so far refrained from approving such strikes, emphasizing caution to avoid direct escalation. Nonetheless, the question remains open, as shifts in policy could occur depending on the changing dynamics of the conflict. France, meanwhile, has taken more assertive steps. French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu confirmed the delivery of Scalp missiles to Ukraine, aligning with President Emmanuel Macron's strategic support for Kyiv. Russian officials have issued strong warnings. Maria Zakharova, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, noted that the provision of these weapons will only exacerbate tensions and hinted that Western advisors participating in the conflict could become legitimate military targets. Dmitry Polyansky, Russia's deputy permanent representative to the United Nations, speaking on French media, reminded viewers that any escalation could see Western military personnel returning in coffins draped with national flags. He invoked history, stressing that while nations like France may view themselves as victors of past conflicts, Russia's wartime resilience exemplified by its long struggle against national flags. Russia's advanced air defense systems, including the S-400 and S-500, have demonstrated effectiveness in intercepting various missile types. This capability was underscored by Russia's ability to thwart missile attacks, including those targeting critical infrastructure like the Crimea Bridge. While long-range missiles like Tomahawk or Storm Shadow carry the potential for significant damage, they face the challenge of evading these formidable defenses. Drone attacks, with their unpredictable flight paths and varied launch points, have posed a more complex threat, but Russia has adapted to counter these tactics as well. The political calculus in the West involves balancing support for Ukraine with avoiding a direct conflict with Russia. While nations like France and the UK have shown resolve in providing advanced weaponry, internal debates continue. Macron, for instance, must navigate between supporting Ukraine and managing France's diplomatic position to avoid being seen as provoking direct hostility with Russia. Similarly, US and UK leaders are managing domestic and international pressure, trying to support Ukraine's defense without crossing into actions that might prompt a severe Russian response. Historical precedents show that missile strikes are not guaranteed to achieve their intended outcomes. For example, during the US strike on Syria's Sharat airbase in 2017, a significant portion of the Tomahawk missiles failed to reach their targets or were intercepted. Such incidents underscore that while missile technology is advanced, defensive systems have proven capable of limiting their effectiveness. Analysts highlight that while missiles like the Storm Shadow and Scalp can impact strategic targets, their cost and the risk of interception reduce their strategic value. The financial burden of these weapons, often exceeding $1 million per missile, adds to the complexity of sustaining prolonged use. Additionally, using such weapons risks significant escalation, which Western leaders are trying to avoid while still supporting Ukraine's sovereignty. Experts suggest that alternative methods, such as drone swarms and electronic warfare, could offer effective means of pressure without the same level of risk associated with long-range missile strikes. These approaches might allow for continued support of Ukraine without triggering a broader conflict involving NATO and Russia. In summary, the decision to supply long-range missiles to Ukraine entails significant military, political, and diplomatic risks. While these weapons can be powerful tools, their use invites potential retaliation and could pull Europe and NATO into deeper involvement. This underscores the need for a careful, balanced approach in supporting Ukraine's defense, while avoiding steps that could lead to full-scale war.